But we come out because we want to tell you another important story that has been playing itself out in the last while. A 28-year-old man who was kidnapped outside a hardware store in Benoni has apparently been found in Katlehong in Ekurhuleni. A video was circulated of Mulana Tahsin being pushed into a buggy by 4 men. Let's get the latest with anti-crime activist Yusuf Abramjee, who joins me now for an update. Yusuf, what can you tell us at this stage about the circumstances in which this Mulana was found?
Good afternoon. The 28-year-old Mulana, we can confirm, was rescued by police, namely crime intelligence-led driven operation, as well as with the help of private security company Vision Tactical from Johannesburg. They've been involved in investigating this kidnapping since it happened on the 12th of November. What we do know is that 5 arrests have been made. I can confirm to you also that my sources are saying that an EMPD female officer has been arrested. It is alleged that her vehicle with clone number plates was used when the Mulana was taken outside his father's hardware business in Benoni on the 12th of November. In the video that went viral at the time, you can see the Mulana arriving at the hardware store. He's then pushed into the back of this buggy, the SUV, and he's been missing ever since. We know that the first arrest was made on the East Rand late last night. A further arrest was made in the early hours of this morning, and just a short while ago, in a police-led driven operation, the victim was freed. He's now been taken to a hospital for treatment, but he seems to be okay. And I'm told by my sources that a number of arrests can still be made. Now, this confirms what we've been saying for a while, the suspicion that law enforcement or corrupt or criminal law enforcement officials are involved in these kidnappings. And I'm delighted that the police have made a breakthrough. And I think crime intelligence, specifically Vision Tactical, the company that has been in the forefront of helping the family, have been behind this breakthrough, which is significant.
Located for us then, Yusuf, within the context of our growing concern about this trend of kidnappings, particularly of people who are well off or their children or family members.
Let's not forget that we've had a spate of kidnappings, as you correctly mentioned, over the past few months especially, where the high-profile case in Polokwane, the Morty brothers, no arrests have been made. We know that an 11-year-old girl from Mayfair was taken about 3 weeks ago. She is still missing. There's no sign of her. We know that at the weekend, thanks again to a crime intelligence-driven operation, a Mozambican national, the son of a businessman, was rescued in Heidelberg on the south of Gauteng. No arrests have been made there. Police swooped on the apartment where the man was held captive for a number of weeks. He was freed. And we know that in Durban last week, car salesman Salim Tayok was also freed, apparently after a ransom was paid. So some breakthroughs have been made. We've made repeated calls for the police task team to really get their act together. And we know that, as Barry Bateman reported the other day, that the task team is now being revamped. Crime intelligence officers are being deployed. And I know that a General Firoz Khan has been assigned to take care of the crime intelligence-driven operation. And I think a lot of the breakthroughs that we've seen over the past few days could be attributed to him and to his team. So most certainly we are seeing some life being going into the task team. We know also the task team, a senior officer, a lieutenant colonel, is behind, or rather he's out on bail after being arrested on a charge of corruption. He allegedly demanded 40,000 rand from the victim's family. That matter is still carrying on in court. And I'm happy that some progress has been made, but I think the copycat gangs that are now being arrested are in their numbers. So we hope that the other gangs could also be arrested, but also the backbone of the major gangs need to be broken, and they are still on the prowl.
Yusuf, lastly, I imagine that you've been watching the testimony of Commissioner Katlehong before the Human Rights Commission about the July unrest. One of the things that struck me was when he characterized the situation of crime intelligence as, quote unquote, the establishment is going down. And I was saying earlier on, that's the last thing you want to hear from the National Police Commissioner when you're faced with the crime situation in general that we face as South Africans, but particularly in dealing with this kind of crime, this kidnapping for ransom situation. What did you make of that?
Most certainly, I think all eyes are on what the National Commissioner is saying. There's no secret. Crime intelligence is in a mess. They've been in a mess for a number of years. We know that a number of their commanders have been arrested. Some are still implicated in corruption and wrongdoing. We are waiting for them to be arrested. We know that the crime intelligence units have been, in a number of the provinces, virtually broken down. A lot of the crime intelligence cops are involved in wrongdoing. I'm not saying allegedly, I know they are involved in wrongdoing, and one of them was arrested recently. We need more arrests to be made. I think the quicker the police can restore crime intelligence, the better it will be. Let's not forget, when the unrest broke out in KwaZulu-Natal, we repeatedly called and we asked on social media, where is the police? Why are the police not being deployed? Where is the South African National Defence Force? And only days later did the government and the president specifically act. So a lot of questions need to be asked, but I think the National Commissioner, as much as he admits there's a problem, we all know there's a problem. The big question is, what is government and what is the police leadership doing to fix up the mess within crime intelligence?
Yeah, and let's not forget, Yusuf, that the president did take upon the mantle of being the president as well as the minister of, state security, basically the responsibilities previously held by a minister. There's a lot for him to talk about several months later. Yusuf Abramjee, thank you for your inputs and your time this afternoon. That's anti-crime activist there, Yusuf Abramjee. He was telling us about a success that the police have had in the area of Katlehong in working with a security company to rescue a Mulana who had been kidnapped.